Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Bursa case studies. So as usual, I will start with the review of the indexes first, and then after that we will proceed over to the case studies that I have for the following week. So for this week, I think the US market is not doing that well, which is already anticipated. I think news about inflation and the possibility of US government shutting down is causing the market to actually not react well. Okay, coupled with the head and shoulders formation of the indexes, currently it's not looking too good lah. Okay, but there is S&P seasonality index, which shows that the market usually is quite bad from end of September to about early November, but most of it is the damage is mostly done by early October lah. Okay, so for the US side, it's not looking that good, and we need to be a bit more cautious lah. Okay, so we start off with the Nasdaq first. We can actually use this also. Okay, quite similar. It's actually forming head and shoulders. Currently actually hit the previous support at about 14553. Okay, it came down to about here. Then there was some support coming in. I think on this day, or this day, I can't remember. One of the days there was news at about 2 a.m. About Biden supporting AI, some news about that. So it actually came up, and then it encountered the resistance at about this area, which was the previous resistance it met, 148,800 plus. So it actually came back down from there. Okay, so the pattern may still be valid. Okay, we just have to see what happens next week. And of course, there is also the imminent threat that the US government may shut down, which is a very negative news. So that is still lurking around. As of now, while I'm doing the video, I think they still haven't come to an agreement on whether they will pass the budget or not, the spending or not. Okay, so US Nasdaq is not doing well. For Dow Jones, I also don't think it's doing well. It's actually doing worse than the Nasdaq. So what's happening now is basically you can see there are more investors flocking into the Nasdaq compared to the Dow Jones and also the S&P 500. Okay, so if you actually have a look at the Dow Jones, the pattern has already broken down. That means it has already taken place. And actually, if you look at the 1 hourly chart, the Dow Jones didn't perform that well compared to the Nasdaq. You see, the Nasdaq is like quite bullish going up. Okay, whereas the Dow Jones is not that good lah. Okay, you can see it came down like quite a lot compared to Nasdaq. Nasdaq is a bit better lah. Okay, even this candle is quite strong compared to this one. Okay, you can see that there are more investors favoring the Nasdaq. So what's happening for me is when some investors, when they see the Nasdaq coming down, they tend to actually buy and support it. They may not be sure where is actually the bottom. So whenever there's like, you know, a sell down and stuff like that, and they feel their stocks may be cheap, they may actually tend to actually go and get some, you know, maybe as a long-term investment or dollar cost averaging, stuff like that. Okay, so on the Dow Jones part, is also not looking good. Okay, the candle on Friday kind of confirmed it, because I think on Friday the inflation report was quite what the Fed wanted. Okay, but you need to know that the PCE data does not include the food and also oil prices. Okay, so those are just the utilities and stuff. It didn't account for oil prices, which has been skyrocketing, okay, for the past few weeks lah. Okay, and then lastly will be the S&P 500. This one is actually the S&P 500 is always more of the main index that people use to see whether it's actually good or not lah. Okay, so if you actually look at here, it almost touched back the neckline of the head and shoulders formation, and then it came back down. Okay, almost. So it's not looking good. So it may form something like head and shoulders like this, and then break down, hit back at the previous support. The support will turn into resistance, and then it keeps going down. Okay, it may. Okay, that may be what's forming. Next, we move over to the Russell 2000, which is literally the small cap index. So you can see same, okay, the head and shoulders has formed and is breaking down, okay. So it attempted to come back up a little. That's like a technical rebound. It didn't materialize and it continued going down. Now moving to the Malaysian index, KLCI, not much of movement, but it's not looking very good on Friday's candle, okay. The big red candle is not a very good thing to have, and volume has started to increase lah, okay. The red candle volume is quite bad. The near-term resistance, near-term support is about 1421, about this zone, okay, which was where was supported on Friday, kind of rebounded. But you can see that from this point to this point to this point is actually forming lower highs, while this is also lower lows. Okay, this one hasn't formed a new low. So for the KLCI index, is no longer looking that good. Now for the small cap index, it's okay. It's not to say too good or too bad. Okay, like I mentioned in last week's analysis, I don't really like V-shaped recoveries like this because you don't really have a base. Okay, you don't really have like a support compared to the previous breakouts. You can see that, you know, it forms something like this and then it forms again. So it's not really V. Okay, this one, you know, the support is here, and if it breaks through, then it's bad. Okay, this one also, you know, the support is here. If it breaks, it's bad. So as you can see, this one rallied up after a breakout, and you see this is not breaking the support, but for V, the support is going to be far. Okay, so the small cap is actually pulling back. Doesn't seem that good, but it's not as bad as the US index and also the KLCI lah. Okay, for me, I think it's still much better. Okay. Okay, moving on to the Hang Seng Index, Hong Kong Index. This candle is also not good. Actually, I think it was originally very good. You can see over here. Okay, it was a big green candle in the morning. Okay, continued rallied up until here, and then it started coming down with a big candle over here. Then the biggest one came at night lah. Okay. Usually, if you look at indexes at about 9:30 when US opens, they tend to follow. Okay, same goes with the Malaysian index, same goes with the Hang Seng Index. Okay, they tend to follow what happens on the market on the US side lah. Okay, and then the China index, I don't think it's much of a movement. I think we need to see where the index wants to go. But looking at this, doesn't look that good lah. Okay, we just do a back test. Okay, you can see, like, you know, there is one here like this, and then it rebounds kind of like a support about this zone. It ends up getting broken, okay, to about here. So currently you see something similar is happening. I'm not sure whether you want to say it's a head and shoulders or not. Doesn't really look like it on a weekly chart. On a daily, it's a bit more apparent. You can see something like this. Okay, so it may be forming. Okay, and it's already hitting the support line lah of about this area. Okay, this is like the kind of like a last line of defense lah. Okay, if it breaks, then it's quite likely to be continue bearish lah. Okay, so China index is not looking good. Japan index is also no longer looking good. It was very good. I mean the whole world wasn't doing well, and then the Japan index was still doing good. You know, it was somewhere around here, still forming higher highs. It was good at that point, but currently doesn't really look that good lah. Okay, it looks like it's forming here, and then it's not breaking above the previous one, so it's forming lower highs already. Next we go over to UK oil. Okay, UK oil, which means the oil prices, I think it's doing a pullback. Okay, let me just add this inside. I think it's quite important. Never mind, we'll do it later. Okay, UK oil, I think oil prices are going higher. Okay, has been quite some consolidation on the base over this side, so it's going higher. Okay, I'm not sure whether it will go back to COVID high or not. I think it's quite unlikely lah. Okay, but I think the supply is not that high. Okay, you can see that this was like a previous resistance, previous support level. Okay, this was a resistance first, resistance broke out, then now it's a support level. So it seems like it's going to go higher. It's forming a small cup over here as a pullback, and it seems like it's going to continue higher lah. Okay, about here. Okay, many analysts anticipate that you will reach about 100 to 110 or 130 lah. Okay, so you just keep a lookout on it. On the VIX index, which is the volatility index, it's starting to climb higher, which is not a good news for the stock market, especially the US side. Okay, so you need to be a bit more cautious lah. Okay, this is the short US QQQ index, which is the ETF for NASDAQ, and also this is SOXL lah, the semiconductor index, which is also not looking good. SOXX instead is the short one, looks more like it's doing better lah. Okay. Okay, now we move over to the case studies for Bursa this week. So first up will be Gtronic. Okay, if you look at Gtronic, it's actually quite interesting. It's quite bullish compared to the other tech counters. Okay, it reached here 1.71. Okay, long shooting star candle, then came down. Okay, it challenged the trend line first time, and then now it's broken through from the trend line. In terms of the base building, I think it's quite solid. Okay, you can see that this area until this area, the base building has been quite quiet. Okay, candles hasn't been that far spread out lah compared to this candle. Okay, and then on this part, this base, it has been quite quiet. Okay, the price action has been quite tight. You can see the movement is between 1.49 to about 1.45, which is only about 4 bits. Okay, every day is about 4 bits only. Volume has been pretty quiet as well. Here the volume is starting to build up, and it broke out on Friday lah. Okay, so currently I think the support will be somewhere around here, 1.45. Okay, there's a possibility that it will retest the previous resistance, which is about here, 150. Okay, so like I previously mentioned, it may just break out, then retest, and then go up higher lah. Okay, and high resistance will be 1.61 and also 1.71 lah, which happens to be the previous resistance levels. Okay, so this is the first stock to see. Okay, next will be Slvest. This is a solar counter. Solar counters hasn't been doing that well previously, but comparatively Slvest to Samaiden, Saipark, and also Sunview, I think Slvest chart is better. Okay, so as usual, you see Gtronic, once it rallies so high up, usually it will form back, it will always come back for a pullback lah. There will always be some sort of correction. This pullback is actually very nice, it's below 30%. So same with Slvest, it climbed up slowly, okay, until it reached the peak of about 1.43, then it came back down. So I think previously I had a video about renewable energy counters, and it was going down lah. It's not forming any more higher highs. I was forming lower highs only. Okay, so currently you can see this is quite a good support, 120. Okay, this is like a washout candle. This is 120, quite a solid support. And then you can see like this is a cup forming over here. So there's a possibility it will become something like this, cup and handle over here. Okay, so I'm not so sure whether it has found a new support or not. Okay, at about 1.28. But usually support tends to be quite a few days lah. Okay, so this is like one candle, and then it may start forming like few days, something like what you see here. Okay, this area it may form back here lah. Okay, so if it does form back, then this will be a new base before a cup and handles formation occur, and it may break up. Okay, so quite interesting to see it develop. It's the only counter in the solar list I have which I feel is interesting. It may be the leader, others may follow suit later, I'm not so sure. Okay, but as of now, I think Slvest chart is better than the rest lah. Okay, next will be Teoseng. This one more to agricultural commodities lah. I think related to the eggs company, stuff that people use lah. Okay, but I'm not so sure what is specifically in the company, what they specifically do. But in terms of the chart, I think it's something like it found a 52-week high over here, rebounded. Okay, and then this is a new support lah, 1.07. Okay, the volume on breakout for Friday is also pretty high. It's about many multipliers of the normal volume. Okay, the volume that was formed on the 2 days of basing is also relatively low. Okay, compared to the breakout volume, so I think it's quite nice lah. Okay, currently you may have your new support at 1.07. You see 1.07 tested twice. Okay, and then your resistance, this one met resistance is about 1.12, but I think the final resistance will be about 1.14 lah. Okay, interesting thing is 1.14, if it's able to break about from this zone, you will break 52-week high, and your next resistance will be somewhere here, 1.25. Okay, so technically Teoseng looks pretty nice lah. Okay, the chart wise looks nice lah. Okay, so moving over to hibiscus, we will cover 3 all counters one shot lah. Okay, easier. Let me see any others. No, okay, we will cover 3 all counters easier. Personally, I think hibiscus chart is better than the rest in terms of base. Okay, Deleum's chart is a bit more fast and furious. It's a bit more full of momentum lah. Okay, so if you look at hibiscus is challenged with some resistance over here at 1.11 to 1.12. Okay, if you look at this area, there you can obviously see there's a lot of resistance over here lah. Okay, over at this zone. Okay, and then it's attempting to break out but couldn't. Even on this day, you see, it attempted to break out multiple times, break out at the 1.14, still close below 1.11. Okay, but on Friday, volume is not that significant, but it managed to break out and hold above 1.11. So there's a possibility, like I always mention, return resistance turn to support. So there's a possibility that this previous resistance is going to be a new support for hibiscus. Okay, so if let's say it becomes a support, so your immediate resistance will be 1.16 to 1.17 area lah. Okay, 1.16 I chose because previously also you can see there's some resistance at this 1.16 area. Okay, support and resistance. So you can see that there is some support and resistance at this zone. There will be the next immediate resistance. Okay, for Deleum, you need to take note that this stock share float is only 390 million, so it's going to be quite easy to push up and down lah. Okay, the support that is formed at here is actually very nice. You can see 4 days volume is much lower than the breakout day volume, so the support was originally at about 1.03. Subsequently, it's moving something like this lah. Okay, subsequently it moved even higher. So this is like a new resistance for this stock, which is about 1.18. Okay, and then you may have a new support at 1.10. Okay, you can see the volume here on these 3 days is actually quite similar to the volume that you are seeing over here. Okay, so it may just react something like this lah. Okay, now next will be Dayang, same oil and gas counter. But Dayang, I think there's nothing much from the previous week's case study. I think it's still hovering around this box before it attempts to break out. You can see the volume is a bit different here. You see the volume coming down is quite low and the volume going up is much higher comparatively. Okay, which is actually a good news lah. Okay, so these are the 3 counters which I feel is much better. For Armada, I think the candle on Friday is not so nice. Okay, but it's not to say it's not going to break out. There is a strong support here at about 0.55. And if you see most of the oil counters, they are also doing quite well. Okay, if you look at USMA, okay, they are all actually consolidating. Because if you look at UK oil's chart, it didn't really turn bullish last week. Okay, it was like quite consolidating. It's kind of like a pullback. Okay, even you see this, but this one I think something to do with the crack speed and stuff lah. Okay, this one it doesn't really follow much of the UK oil. Petron. Okay, this one also not so much lah. Okay, more to all these main counters. Okay, so Dayang, Hibiscus and Deleum are the ONG counters which I feel have a better chart compared to the rest lah. Okay, so next is Jtiasa. I did not actually put this new RTS 0.86 just only. Okay, this was actually put last week. If you actually have a look at the review, okay, I mentioned that there's a possibility it will come back to retest the previous resistance, which is 0.86. Now, the chart for Jtiasa is not really a solid base building, which is what I mentioned in the earlier video. Jtiasa is more of a V-shaped recovery. Okay, if you look at this is like a V up and then it's another V. There is no solid base building, for example, like in Hibiscus Deleum. Okay, those are charts which I think are much more solid lah. Okay, but currently looking at Jtiasa, it looks quite near to the support lah. Okay, it looks like it really hit the previous resistance area and started to go back higher. Okay, and the volume is not high anymore. That means there's not much of sellers lah. Okay, so technically speaking, the chart is pretty bullish lah. Okay. Okay, next Ramssol. Okay, like I said before, I think Ramssol became famous, became a hot thing when there was Limichai Top Glove owner, okay, coming in. But it's not to say it's buying them a lot lah, okay, it's basically hello just investing lah, okay. So it kind of became a hot stock. I did review this chart before, and I think currently the chart is still good. It found resistance at about 49 cents. Okay, you can see that it hit there 2 times. Okay, twice already it hit, and then there is some support at 0.445. But if you really look at the chart here, there isn't really like it's not like Slvest, Hibiscs, it's not like a flat kind of support lah. Okay, if you look at the hourly chart, you may be able to find better support levels, okay, which is about 0.455, 0.45 or 0.445 lah. Okay, so these are the three. And if you look at the hourly chart, the most latest support is at 0.47. Okay, so Ramssol looks like a candidate to break out soon. Okay, the low days volume has been quite low and the breakout day volume has been quite high lah. Okay, now my another stock is Pharma Niaga. Okay, Pharma Niaga's chart is not very nice. Just watch what happens to the stock lah. Okay, the volume has been quite low for the past few days. Okay, this is like high. I think this was the day I think August 14. September 18. So here lah, okay, boss denies Pharma Niaga's private placement appeal. So there was a high volume coming down here, and subsequently it's starting to go higher. Okay, it's quite near to the previous support area, which is 43 cents. Just wait to see whether this support breaks. If this support breaks, you will get you will confirm a downtrend. Okay, it's like this is the high, this is first lower high, and then second lower high. Okay, it breaks the support lah. Okay, so this is the only reason why I put this stock into one of my case studies for this week. Okay, and the last top 10 case study stocks will be Muhibah. Okay, like I mentioned before, Muhibah is forming a head and shoulders pattern. Okay, you can even see it on a weekly chart. Okay, it's actually quite obvious. Okay, 1, 2, and then 3. It's actually quite obvious. Okay, head and shoulders pattern, inverse or normal head and shoulders pattern, if you form on a weekly chart, is actually more bullish lah, or more bearish. Okay, basically it's more significant. You just remember the time frames from 1 second up to 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Whatever forms on a longer time frame is always stronger than the shorter time frames. Okay, logically speaking, there is more data, there is more buy and sell volume happening on the weekly chart and a daily chart compared to an hourly and a minute chart. Okay, so even if you look at a weekly chart, it's still valid lah. Okay, so one thing you need to take note, Muhibah share float is only about 500 million. Okay, so it's quite, not to say very easy to go up and down, but it's easier lah. Okay, the neckline for it to break, it will be about 78 cents. There was some attempt over here, but it came back down lah. Okay, so the neckline quite obvious. If I hide this pattern, you will see it's here lah. Okay, and then it attempted a few times here, didn't really make it. Okay, here also it broke out, next day came back down, break out, come back down again. So you can see it's actually not like a very strong breakout. Okay, the only strong volume was about here when you push up from here, which is from 71 cents up until about 78 cents. Okay, subsequent next day, I think there's some selling over here, and all the other days volume is not strong anymore. That means there's no momentum to push it lah. Okay, so now Muhibah is about the end of the head and shoulders formation. Now, head and shoulders formation can fail and it can also succeed. Okay, one head and shoulders formation that attempted to break out was RL. Okay, also inverse head and shoulders over here, but it kind of failed the going to 35 cents lah, so it came back down. Okay, about here it came back down already, so you have to see whether it actually breaks out or not. But why this is a case study is mainly because it's not every day that you see a stock is forming a head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders in the Malaysian market. Okay, it's quite rare because it needs quite a lot of data to actually form a head and shoulders. Okay, it's not, it's like, you know, the US index, it took like very long. Okay, let me just check. It started forming from June, and now it's like end of September. So June, July, August, September, it took 4 months to form. Similar to this, it took from February to form until September. It's a very long process. Okay, so if it actually works, it's kind of very bullish lah. Okay, so Muhibah is something for you to watch. Okay, now coming to the next counters, ANCOMNY. Okay, this one actually run up quite a lot lah. It's something like SKBSHUT. It ran up quite a lot already. Stocks can never go in one direction lah. It always has to come back down. Okay, it always has to pull back, go up further, pull back, go up further. Okay, the reason why a stock cannot go up forever, you guys can comment lah. Okay, I will, if you guys really want to know, I will actually do a video on it lah. Okay, but at the moment, let's go with that first. The stock will always move in zigzag formations lah. Okay, so you can see it will move like this, so it's bound to come down for a pullback lah. Okay, so currently your resistance will be about 1.28. Current, this is previous week one lah. I didn't write it now. If the current resistance is actually 1.2 and it managed to break above lah. Okay, but you can see there is a bit of selling pressure over here already. Okay, so you need to be a bit cautious. It may pull back, it may just continue going higher. Like previously I mentioned, Genitech also went up forever, or HEXTAR also, when it went up, it just decided to just continue going higher and higher, like nobody's business, just like here. Okay, you see HEXTAR went up from here. Okay, from 3 ringgit to 13 ringgit in just what, 19 days. Okay, and then it consolidated and then just decided to go up again. Okay, and you see when it goes up, it's like huge. You know, remember, this is a double digit stock. It's not a few cent stock. So for it to go up from here until here, it's 17%. So basically from here until, if let's say you took a position here, 16 ringgit, it reached here, it's about 76% in what, 6 days lah, in 6 days. Okay, so it's quite insane lah. Okay, if a stock wants to be pushed up. Okay, so I'm not saying that it will definitely come back down, but what I'm saying is stocks move in zigzag direction lah. Okay, it won't go up forever. Okay, next will be YONGTAI. Look at the volume for this. It's a bit suspicious, but it can also be a kind of a quiet base building lah. Okay, so you can see this, the volume. This volume is actually quite high and is a very good green candle lah. Okay, but the selling pressure is quite strong around here, so expect some heavy resistance when it attempts to break out from 0.41. Okay, volume has started coming in. Friday volume is quite strong. 2.87 million is about 5 times the normal, 5 times the volume that was there for the previous few days lah. Okay, so it's quite an interesting stock to look lah. Okay, but you need to consider also that this entire area is actually a previous support, so you will also see this entire area become a previous resistance now. Okay, EMS counter, VS. I think currently VS chart is better than the rest, mainly because I guess there was a VS quarter report is quite nice. SK price is bad. Okay, Friday gap down until like this, pull back up, kind of broke support. Can be a shakeout candle, can be a back candle lah. Okay, and then this one, I think it came back to the base already. Okay, so comparatively, only VS is looking quite good. After the QR posted on the other day, it actually washed down like this, and then it came back up lah. This is definitely a wash down. Okay, so you need to see whether VS will decide to actually go up back or not. Okay, support is definitely here at about 0.995 if I'm not wrong. Okay, and clear resistance over here at 1.05 lah. Okay, 1.03 also is also proving to be quite difficult to break, but the higher one will be 1.05 lah. Okay, so EMS counter, I'm not so sure EMS counter will be in play or not. Maybe VS can lead. I think another EMS counter is PIE. Looks more like consolidating lah. Okay, SYSTECH. I think SYSTECH has news about the new boss taking over, so kind of gapped up on Friday, looking quite good. But even let's say without the news also, I'm not so sure whether I want to say market has already priced it in, or whether market is anticipating a good news from it or not. You can see that it has always been uptrend lah. Okay, So on Friday, you can see there's a high volume coming in over here with the resistance previously at about 0.395. It actually gapped up, overtook the resistance, and closed high lah. Okay, but there is some selling pressure over here. So you will see, most counters will actually close back the gap. Okay, unless the gap occurs on some very unexpected QR, which means the company will no longer be doing good. Okay, for example is but usually you already see signs and symptoms of it lah. Okay, this is one example. Okay, so yeah, I did study this counter last time. Okay, you have a look at this one. This is a quarter report. Okay, this quarter report over here. Okay, gap down, didn't close back the gap. Okay, continue going down until here. I think the quarter report not bad lah here. So it came, consolidate, cannot again, quarter report here again, gap down. Okay, then this one got close gap, come back down again. Okay, so not all gaps are closed. This one got gap, quarter report again gap, but never continue. Okay, so most of the time it closes the gap, but not necessarily lah. Okay, so if it does, it's more likely to turn into a new support for you. Okay, so this will be a new support for you lah. Okay, 0.395. The resistance for this counter will be should be about this zone lah. Okay, about 0.445 to 0.475. Okay, looking on the weekly chart. If you look at 52-week high, actually there isn't lah. Okay, your immediate really 52-week high will be somewhere here lah. Okay, 52 cents. Okay, next will be FIAMMA. This is a consumer counter. I think FIAMMA is involved in doing all the electrical appliances. Maybe quite similar to things like Panasonic and Panasonic Malaysia. Okay, I also studied this counter before. At this part, it looks like it has formed a bottom, but it didn't. It found actually bottom at about 89.5 cents. Okay, about 90 cents. Currently, it has come back up. I don't know what is this quarter report. Let's just have a look at the news. This is August. Okay, they didn't post. May one is profit rises lah. About here, profit rises, but it still came back down. Now I think there's some land approval, MOU, stuff like that lah. Okay, but let's look at it on the chart manner. Okay, the resistance currently is at 0.975, whereas the support is at 0.915. Okay, it looks more like it's going to form a cup and handle lah. Okay, something like this, and then maybe form another one before breaking up. Okay, that's what I see from this counter. Okay, can put into watch list to monitor and see whether this case study is correct or not lah. Okay, the volume has been quite low lah. Okay, only this volume has been high. Other than that, it has been quite low, which I think is a good news. Okay, next is PJBUMI. Okay, I reviewed before also. I didn't like this candle and it continued going down, formed the lower low. Okay, subsequently it came up higher and then it consolidated within this range of 1.03 to 0.97. Okay, then subsequently on Friday it broke out. Actually gapped up and then close back lower. It may form a new support at 1.03. Okay, because this was the previous resistance, it may come back to form the support at 1.03. Then it may move up higher lah. Okay, so currently the chart is like this. Your immediate resistance will be about 1.08, which I don't think really has been a resistance before. I think you will meet more resistance at about 1.09, and then of course you will meet more resistance at about 1.12 lah. Okay, so you have to wait and see where the market decides to bring itself to next week. Okay, this is all just part of like an analysis. Okay, E and O. I think while I was doing my filtering of stocks to use as a case study, I noticed that property and construction counters seem to still have some meat in it. Okay, so if let's say property and construction counters do have some meat in it, I think E and O will be doing quite well lah. Okay, I actually don't really have tech counters this week lah. E and O, I think it formed quite a good support over here at about 0.655. Okay, it actually came back down to close the gap over here, and it's rebounding lah. Okay, volume hasn't been as high as previously, but you will need to see whether this support actually holds or not, and it's able to break out from this resistance about 0.73 before deciding that the property team is on the go again. Okay, because it was previously very hot. Okay, so as usual, you need to have some pullbacks. Okay, it was like here, then it continued going higher. Okay, so something to look at lah next week. Okay, next property counter is SPSETIA. I only have these two because I think their charts look better than the rest. Okay, the resistance here is about 1.04. Okay, you can see attempted many times, breakout but come back down, means there is some heavy selling resistance lah. Okay, and then your support will be about here lah. Sorry, let me just write that. Okay, this is the support level 1.0. Okay, the previous support 0.995 is valid, but I think the stock has formed another higher support. Okay, this support is even lower lah. Okay, so this is what I mean. Stocks will usually form higher bases along the way. Okay, it will slowly form higher and higher ones while it's climbing higher lah. Okay, so next is HEXTAR. I only put this in because I think the support level is quite interesting. Okay, as you see, 1, 2, let's put this as 3, 4, 5, 6. There has been 6 attempts lah. Okay, on the support, and it hasn't broken. Seems to be quite a strong support level lah. Okay, 0.73. So this time it has rebounded again. This one high candle, then come back down. This one kind of like a manipulation volume lah. Okay, for it to come down back so much with just such a low volume. So the support is at 0.73. Now it's attempting to go higher lah. Okay, the previous resistance is about 0.76. I also didn't insert this. This may turn to a new support. Okay, we never know. We need to see lah what happens in the market this week. Okay, now next is RANHILL. I think the candle on Friday is not that nice. Okay, it's not very bullish lah. Okay, even though the basis that was forming is actually quite nice. This was a very high candle with high volume, subsequently got sell down. Friday actually attempted to break out, but it failed lah. Okay, but however, it's still forming higher lows along the way. You can see this all the way has been higher lows. Okay, from here, from 35 cents until now. Okay, it has been forming higher lows all the way, and the resistance, the larger resistance will be at 72 cents lah. Okay, the immediate resistance will be somewhere here lah. Okay, 68.5 cents. Okay, you will need to break out from here lah to ensure that it continues. Okay, if it breaks down from 63.5, it will look something like this, then come down like this. Okay. Okay, EWINT, I think there is some data to finally see, to look at this stock lah. Okay, to actually even do a review or analysis to it. Okay, so your resistance will be about 38.5 cents now, while your support will be about 35 cents. Okay, your candles has been quite stagnant, not much of a price movement, and the volume has been decreasing lah along the way. Okay, which is actually a good thing. That means maybe not much sellers anymore lah. Okay, so with that, it may actually just confirm the support at about 0.35, and if it's able to break out from 0.385, that means it may continue back to go higher lah. Okay, this big gap is not caused by news. It's not caused by some news from the company. It's basically just the dividend X date. Okay. Okay, ITMAX. I also covered this stock before. This was a small washout before it decided to rocket up lah. Okay, so like I say, stock price behavior can actually tell you what to anticipate lah. Okay, for the stock chart. Okay, so this is why I do case studies. They look quite interesting. You see, like from here, I expect it may turn bullish, and it did. Okay, so quite interesting. Currently, I think ITMAX is a bit overbought. Okay, rocketed up too much in too fast and furious lah. Okay, so you can see there is some selling pressure over here. Okay, you can see there are a lot of candle wicks above, and it's trying to form a new support at about 1.76 lah. Okay, so we need to see whether this support will hold or not. So far 3 days it tested and is holding lah, so I think it's quite good. Okay, the resistance, you don't have a resistance because there is no resistance from the back data. Basically sky is the limit lah. It will depend where people want to push it and assume that is the next level. Okay, but in cases like this, if let's say you really want to know where the next resistance may be, you can always use Fibonacci retracement lah. Okay, so you can project your Fibo. This is the previous high. Okay, all the way to your previous low. Okay, so it may come to about 1.93. Okay, but the important numbers in Fibo are always 618 and 382 lah. Okay, so you can see if let's say you take 618, 1.81 it's quite there, and then 1.71 is about there also lah. Okay, and then this one it kind of hits there. Okay, sorry, this one I think need to pull a bit higher, and this one pull a bit lower. Okay, so you can see, okay lah, not bad lah, quite follow Fibo. Okay, this if you, let's say you really want to project lah. Okay, next stock is PUNCAK. PUNCAK was on kind of didn't really form a higher high, was only forming lower lows all the way. Then form lower high, suddenly a high volume came in, and the next day it gapped up lah. Okay, so currently the chart looks actually very nice. PUNCAK, I think it's, yeah, almost 52-week high already lah. Okay, but it's forming it's attempting to form support at about 39 cents. Okay, it's attempting to form support at about 39 cents. If it's able to, you know, test the 39 cents a few more days, most likely it will continue going higher lah. Okay, barring unforeseen circumstances in the market lah. Okay, as you know, the market has been quite bad recently. So if there is no bad market sentiment causing it to go lower, then most likely it can lah. Okay, the support is formed well. Okay, I want to keep this stock for last. Let's go for ATECH first. Okay, ATECH chart is actually not bad, but it's still hovering. It's still kind of sideways within 2.42 to 2.83 range lah. Okay, but as you can see, it's like kind of the stock is kind of forming like a low here, then come up here and form a cup. Okay, there's a small cup over here. So you can see this is the cup that's being formed lah. Okay, above that cup there is actually some resistance selling. Okay, you can see it's being dragged down here. High volume candle from the quarter report, but it's not moving much lah. Okay, so interesting to see that there's a cup forming over here. Okay, and then here is a big wash down lah. Okay, so there may be a cup and handle forming, a mini one lah. Okay, not a full one. Okay, it's considered as sideways lah. Okay, if we zoom out and see, this is like coming down, and then it came up back, and then it's sideways here. It may go up. Okay, it may go up. It can also come down. Okay, it can come down like this. Okay, so that's for ATECH. And my last stock for case study is SKBSHUT. Okay, SKB shutters. I think this stock actually went up really furious. There was really a lot of pullbacks expecting to happen, but it didn't really happen. Okay. But I assume it will happen soon lah. Okay, the pullback will happen soon. Currently it's already quite red at about 0.775 last week. Okay, so like I told you just now, maybe it will pull back to the magical numbers of 0.618 or 0.382. Okay, it may pull back to about here. Pullback volumes has been quite low, while the breakout candles has been quite high. But you need to take note that these 2 days of high volume are coupled with very long wicks above. Okay, so there may be some selling pressure lah. Okay, we need to take note of that. And if let's say it is able to sustain, then it will most probably form a higher low and continue going high. The problem with this chart is there's no higher low form. There's no new base form along the way, and it's just one-way traffic. Okay, it's basically just a small one here, then zap. Okay. So it has to form a higher base first before it attempts to go higher lah. Okay, so SKBSHUT is a stock to watch. I think if we see historical data, is basically at the November 2021 high, and there hasn't been any higher lah. Okay, so if it's able to break out from this high, it's basically already at all-time high lah. Okay, so it's something to watch lah. Not always you see a stock forming all-time high. Okay. So I think this week's video is slightly shorter. I don't have so many stocks as the previous weeks. I think market is not very favorable at the moment. In addition, I think most people are quite afraid and are quite on the lookout on what's happening on the US side. Okay, so you need to keep cautious. Remember, make sure you have risk management lah. Okay, make sure you have good risk management. See what is happening in the market lah. Okay, before you look at any stocks. Okay, the market is really bad, you know, then there's nothing much you can do lah. Okay, so that will be all from me this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, do remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and if possible, share out the video lah. That will be a great help for me. Just a disclaimer before I end the video. This entire video is just a list of case studies that I make for myself for next week preparation. Okay, there is no buy or sell call in this video. This entire video that I share in YouTube and whatever channel that it goes to is entirely for educational purpose. So if you do require a buy or sell call, please look for your licensed remiser or a financial advisor. Okay, so this video is entirely educational purpose only, and there is no buy or sell call in this video. Okay, so that's the end of this video for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Bye bye.
If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.